Hey guys, back again in the Beast Zone for another interview. This time we got a killer guy, local guy, very multi-talented guy, and I'm really proud to have him here, Stephen Welch.
Hey,
all right.
thanks for having me here.
And some of you already know him, and if you don't, you will by the end of this segment here. So I'm going to try to do these interviews with different drummers at least once a month until I run out of drummers, and then I'll have to find somebody else to interview. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and jump right into, as usual, from the beginning. Basically, I just kind of want to see your beginnings, like about what age did you start playing drums? Did you have drums? And what were like your influences as you were starting to develop that you wanted to play drums?
Okay, so I got my first drum kit. I was probably 15. I started out actually playing saxophone in school bands,
Right.
and then I ended up doing a duet with a coach at Sunday, and he was a blues guitar player.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with that, so I wanted to start playing guitar. And then as I started playing guitar, I branched out to drums. My first kit had a Mark II, and I had bought it, I think probably for 75 bucks used.
Really? Yeah.
And I had it on my mom's back porch, and man, she would just never ever let me play it.
What?
So,
Oh man.
you know, you wake up all the neighbors and all that.
Yeah, well, you know, I remember having that problem. My sister used to, I mean, she would get on she'd tell my mom, I can't study when he's playing his drums.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, they are loud,
Yeah.
but you know, you got to do what you got to do if you want to play, you know. So
Yeah, totally.
what year are we talking about that you actually, is that what that
So I was probably 2002,
Okay.
my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
I started playing drums. I was playing guitar at that time. I had started, my first band was called Ergo,
Ergo.
and I played guitar for that band.
Right.
And then me and Drew Wilson started a band, Baxter Stockman, with
Mhm.
a local guy named Ben Wells.
Okay.
And then at that time, I started getting plugged into the local heavy metal scene.
Okay.
And I met a couple guys that needed a drummer, and
Okay.
I had always played drums on the side, but
Okay.
I never really
Well, I
taken
mean,
it seriously.
Which one was easier to learn, the drums or the guitar?
Oh man, I would have to say probably drums. I think there's something primal about drums,
Yeah.
something that's innately within you.
So, I mean,
know?
you kind of, like, you wanted to get something out of you, and the drums was an outlet for it.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. I think music in general. I was a songwriter early on.
That's
My
cool.
earliest memory, man. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I remember writing down the lyrics to all these Disney songs, just
Really?
because I wanted to know every word to every song. You
Oh,
know?
okay.
At that point, I kind of realized I have this love for music, and
Wow.
this thirst to understand more about it.
So, what was you listening to the radio? Did you have tapes? Did you have, I mean, what were you listening to kind of like, hey man, I like that beat, or I like this?
Yeah.
I mean, what was you listening to?
Man, in high school, it went all over the place. My early years, I was listening to a lot of Nirvana, kind of Soundgarden, the grunge era,
right.
and then also Incubus, these
Yeah.
bands that were kind of melding different genres together and
Yeah.
trying to do something different.
Did you ever like anything like 70s, 80s?
Oh
Did you-
yeah,
did you-
absolutely. I like Pink Floyd and Jimmy and
okay,
all that,
okay.
you know. But in all honesty, it wasn't until my probably late 20s, early 30s that I really started to get into the more 70s bands.
Okay, okay.
That's pretty much all I listen to now.
Because, I mean, you know, depending on what year or how old you are when you start out, I mean, yeah, you have the music of the time, of the day right
Yeah.
there, but there's so much more further back that
Absolutely.
them guys that are actually playing that music that you like are actually derivatives
That's their
from
heroes.
stuff
Yeah.
from back then, you know. So
Mhm.
if you kind of go back in history, and you can listen to other interviews of other musicians, and they'll tell you that. They
Yeah.
said, my early influences was so and so in 1970, or the band in the 60s, or
Yeah.
something like that. And it just kind of gives you something to hang on to, and kind of like, yeah, man, I really dig that, you know, because there's so
Yeah.
much different. There's just so much different types of stuff you can play.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
if you can incorporate that into your own stuff, then that's even awesome. But so you're playing along. So did you keep progressing in the bands? Did you start new bands, or did you stay with the same band for a while? Did you do any recording?
Yeah, so I was, at the same time, I was also getting into the recording side of it. My first band, Ergo, I played with a guy named Brian Montgomery, and he was running the sound system at a lot of the local American Legion shows, the 169 and the 120 out there by the lake.
Okay.
And so he ended up going to Full Sail University, and he does full-time production now. But before he left, he sold me a sound system. So I was running all the sound at pretty much all the shows out there for a good number of years, and at the same time I got into recording also. So I was pretty much recording any project I had. I was anytime I wrote a new riff, I wanted to record it real quick, double track it in stereo to make sure it sounded good, and then pass it to the drummer, and he could listen to it as much as he wanted to. I burned it on a blank CD, you know, at that time.
Well, I mean, would you say that you contemplated a lot of music? I mean, you have a lot of music that you have recorded?
Yeah, so just in the last 3 weeks, I got a DistroKid account, which is streaming services, publication, and all that. And so Cellar Walls is my like solo project handle. That's what it's called. So if you go to anything that has Cellar Walls, Spotify, Apple Music, all that, you can see a list of all my. I probably have 20 albums on them.
Really?
I play drums on this. I play guitar on this. I recorded probably 80% of it.
Wow,
demos from my room. You know, songwriting. A bunch of stuff that I probably even shouldn't have put out because it's so rough, you know. But it's like for me, it's like I want to. If my house burns down, I want to have that forever.
Exactly,
you know? So,
you got to. I mean, that's the great thing about social media and the internet stuff. You can upload stuff, and it's pretty much going to be there for forever. That's the beauty of that, for sure. So moving to now, present. What are you doing now?
So now, so I did. With all that music, I uploaded a solo album that I did in 2021 when my wife was doing a hike in California, and I recorded that whole album. Since then, I did some local art walk shows. I did a lot of one-man band type stuff, kind of looping, multi-instruments, and making songs off of that. Currently, right now, I'm playing drums with the Kept. I've been with them since 2021. And it's been really fun. I mean, fantastic musicians, great show.
And it's all original, right?
Oh yeah. They will play some covers here and there. You know, some Memphis.
So how would you describe that music? Well, how would if somebody was going to come to a Kev show and you'd say they're going to say, well, what kind of music do y'all play? What do you
I would say if Black Sabbath put out an album in 2015, it's probably close to something that what we're doing. You know, like Misfits meets. Judas Priest.
So some good heavy
absolutely
stuff.
Yeah, but not so heavy that the average person can enjoy.
Right, okay.
You know, like a nice blend of all of that. So it's been fun. They're all great musicians. They seasoned guys.
Yes,
so
and that's always
make it easy.
It's always good to play with good guys. It really is, because that actually makes you better because you're trying to like, hey man, these guys got their stuff together.
Yeah, Brandon Arnold, he's the lead singer. He's a great drummer. So it's tough to be in a band with another drummer because you know they hear every time you miss something.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. You know, and that just makes you better. I mean, I totally agree with that. I always want to be the weak link in a band because then that gives me room to get better instead of being. I mean, don't you hate like if you're like the only badass that's the musician and everybody's like, and you're like.
Nobody wants to carry the load.
You're like,
and the guy that used to play with this band, he moved to Colorado with his family for a new opportunity, and he's a great drummer, but completely different than me in a lot of ways stylistically. He's very hand-driven while I'm very foot-driven, if that makes any sense. And so it was really fun for me to get out of my box and really learn some rudiments that I wasn't comfortable with, you know, and like it really challenged me to rethink the way I do things.
Well, sure, it does. You have to listen to other people to appreciate, their styles and abilities, and you're like, man. Because I'm telling you, man, there's always somebody better. There's always somebody better than that guy. And there's always somebody, and you're just like, golly, how can you be better and better than that guy? Because that guy's so bad. You're like, it really amazes me. I mean, the talent,
When I was a kid, in my mind, I said I wanted to be the best in the world. And then after about 7 years, I said, I just want to write good music.
There you go.
Leave that for the kids. They can be the best in the world.
Well,
I don't care about that anymore.
You don't have to be complicated to write good music either.
Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, some guys are just, fantastic, and they do things, and you're like, I could never do that. I could just never do that. But I'm happy doing, a little more simpler stuff that I like, that I can control. And, that's just, it's just the way it is on some of those when you're trying to write music or when you're
Yeah.
trying just to play your instrument. You just want to be good at what you do, you
Mhm.
know. So I saw you one time. You was in a band and you played at Toby's, I believe, out there on the patio.
Okay.
And tell me what the name of that band was.
So that was Dr. Feelgood.
Okay, Dr. Feelgood.
I played with them probably 2010 to 2015.
Okay.
Played
so-
guitar for the most part.
Right. Well, so what it really intrigued me, I was really like, man, this is really cool, is that y'all swap instruments mid song. Is that correct?
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
remember right.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought, man, I ain't never seen that. I mean, that is because you just went from here and you went over here, and he kept playing. When he moved to here, and he moved to there, and everything just kept going, and I was just totally blown away. And I
Like those
thought,
old slide puzzles where there's one piece missing. and
yeah,
you gotta
yeah,
move it around.
exactly. I thought that was the coolest thing. I'll never forget that. I've never seen a band do that either.
It was
So-
fun, man. We had when I had first started on, I mainly was playing drums for them.
Right, yes.
And I started writing a lot with guitar, and I started singing a lot too at that
Right,
time.
yes.
And so the guy that was playing guitar kind of moved on the drums, and so it's seldom that we were switching. But
Okay.
that song is called "The Switch." It's on
Switch.
Spotify.
Okay.
Under Cellar Walls.
Sounds
Dr.
appropriate.
Feelgood.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That was really cool. I
was
like that.
fun.
I like that. So I think if I remember right, I've noticed that you play a lot on the electronic drum.
Yes,
Correct?
yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that. Just, I mean,
Okay.
I don't have one. I've never had one. I've always been
Yeah.
intrigued by it. I've actually, played one at Guitar Center. You know how they got them set up,
For
and
sure.
you go put the headphones on, you look
Yeah.
around, and you're like, da-da-da-da-da-da, like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So how do you like? I mean, how does that work into like stuff you do versus the acoustic set?
Yeah. I got a TD6, a Roland TD6,
Right.
in probably 2008, I want to say, and I just it was just something to play to not bother me.
Sure, yeah.
You know, the
That makes sense,
recoils
yes.
are completely different,
Yeah.
especially at the time I was playing a lot of really loud live
Mhm.
music, and
Mhm.
so it just didn't have the same feel. But now I have a TD13, and it's different, man. It definitely shows the nuances of where you're off. You know, it's much less forgiving than acoustic drums
Sure.
because you don't get the bleed over
Yes.
of the cymbals
You're
and all
right.
the loudness.
You're right.
You know, so
You're right about
you really
that.
hear all the
You
imperfections.
hear every hit.
It's
Know
really
what you're
easy
saying.
to do. I do a lot of stuff. I have an Instagram account, Aqua Bionic. I post a lot of drum videos on there. It's really easy to just seamlessly plug it in. You don't
Yes.
have to do any mixing.
Right.
So there's
Okay.
that
I see what
side.
you're saying.
And definitely for the rudiment stuff, like I said, it's very honest with you where you're timing it.
Sure,
So
it is,
it's
yeah.
helped me a lot. Now, as far as between acoustic drums and electric drums, I'd always rather play acoustic
Sure.
every
Sure.
time.
Okay.
But I remember when I was recording a lot, one of my better recordings, I had set up live snare and live cymbals, but I had my TD6, I had the kick drum and all the toms were digital.
Okay.
And so you took the air out of the extra
Yes, I
mics,
got
you know,
you.
and it
Yes.
really isolated the high points of the snare and the cymbals. Man, that mesh was on Cellar Walls' album. It's called Voluto, and it's actually the only solo album I have that I didn't play drums, and I
Oh,
play drums for
okay.
me. But man, everything came through so crisp.
Crisp,
I thought
yeah.
the blend of the two
Isn't
was
that-
really
yeah,
nice.
Isn't that
you know?
awesome? That is too cool. I like that. I mean, that's good when you can experiment with stuff like that and
Yeah.
incorporate it into the recording and
Mhm.
stuff. So, as far as so you have an acoustic set also?
Yeah, so I play a PDP.
Okay.
I got it pretty much when I joined the KEP, maybe after about 6 months or so.
Okay.
Got a really good deal on it. It's just a shell pack.
So
I-
what? Tell me what size you
It's
got.
I got two rack toms, 10 and a 12, and I have 14 on the floor.
Okay.
14-inch all brass snare. It's a big bird snare.
Awesome.
I like to play a Tama. I got an old school Tama pedal that was before Iron Cobra. It's like the
Oh,
Iron
okay.
Cobra
Yeah.
predecessor.
Right,
But then I've also got an Iron Cobra. Sometimes I kind of Frankenstein between them.
Yeah,
Kind of get
right.
the right reaction that I want.
As far as cymbals, what's your preference for cymbals?
So I've got Byzance.
Okay. Yeah.
Hats, the dark ones. I like Saluda for the comparison between price and quality. I think they're really fair as far as offering a great cymbal for a good price, and I'm
Yep.
very much being a multi-instrumentalist,
Sure,
I
yeah,
have to be careful
absolutely.
where I'm spending on the money.
Well,
So
sure.
I got a couple Saluda crashes. Got a really nice Paste 98 signature dark ride that I
Cool,
like a lot,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
I've got a Byzance dark ride 20 inch as well.
Well-
And I usually like Wuhan for China.
Yeah, okay.
I got a ZXT as well.
Well, there's so many brands out there now. That's what I
Yeah.
was talking to the other guys that I interviewed. We was talking about cymbals and stuff. Like, back in the day, all I knew was the Sabian.
That's it.
And then it was like, and then all of a sudden, bam!
Yeah.
You have like 10 more brands to pick from. Like,
Mhm.
where'd these come from?
Yeah.
And but they were interesting. They had a real earthy sound.
Yeah.
Real earthy look.
Salutes are great, man. They really sound pretty good.
Yeah,
If
I've heard.
If you're not super discerning,
Yeah.
Like I said, for the comparison and price and quality,
Right.
and they have lifetime guarantee. I'm a heavy
Really?
hitter sometimes, so.
Well, that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how
for
many
sure.
symbols I've cracked in my
I'm telling you,
lifetime.
man, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's just, it's so, you're like, dang,
No, it's an investment.
golly, like I just paid $300 for this.
Yeah,
and
I know.
cracking it. You're like, damn.
When I joined the Kets, man, at that point, it'd been so long since I played drums that
Right.
I didn't have shit, So it was like completely rebuilding my kit from scratch, and I was really like nitpicking at all the stuff I was
Sure.
getting. I was watching Reverb
Yeah,
online
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that to try to get a
Cool.
good deal, so it all worked out good.
So tell us again what's online
Okay.
that people can actually go check out this
For sure.
that you got.
So Cellar Walls, CELLAR Walls, WALLS. It's two different words.
Okay.
It's on all streaming services. You got indie rock, you got heavy metal, you've got some instrumental kind of dance production that I've made. You got acoustic stuff. It's got a nice blend. It's everything, every project that I've been in that I have rights to publish.
Okay, and that's real important. You have your rights,
Yeah.
because
Nowadays,
that's the best
yeah.
thing about original stuff. I mean, you write it, and it's yours. And nobody can say nothing.
Yes.
Oh, you stole that from somebody. Or
Yeah,
this,
for sure.
It's your own stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, you can always go back. People go check it out. You can it'll always be there.
Like a
for
time
future.
capsule.
Yeah, it's killer, dude. I mean, I love it. That's why
Yeah.
like this interview. It'll be there forever because
Yeah.
I want to upload it and stuff.
Hopefully long after us, right?
Yeah, right. At least somebody can see it. The
Yeah.
grandkids. You got. So you recently.
Yeah, I got a little baby girl, Joni. She's
Okay.
About 2.5 months old. She's
Okay, so
the
what?
light of my life, man.
So I have to ask this question: what instrument are you going to try to start her out with?
Oh man, whatever she gravitates to.
Whatever she gravitates
When she
to.
was in the womb, I tell you what, anytime she heard Ozzy's voice, she was kicking, man. She was kicking. So she's gonna be a rocker, I already
So
know.
she can be a singer, or she can not play
whatever
drums,
she
right?
wants. I'll facilitate it. Man.
That's
I'll
awesome.
Put it all down.
And that's even. I mean, that's really cool. That way, you have so much background and experience and stuff. As they grow up, if you let them, expose them to it,
Yeah.
then they'll probably pick it up.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow.
My nephew-in-law, my nephew, he just picked up drums. And
Really?
I think it's because he came over to my house and I
Right.
had that electric kit in
Yes.
the back. Anytime I have kids at my house, man, I got shakers, I got
Right,
tambourines,
yeah,
I
something
got
for them
weird
to-
instruments.
yes,
like I'm
exactly.
trying to push it on them.
Yeah.
Like, this is fun. This
Well,
is cool.
I think
It's healthy.
kids need to do that more. Really do,
Yeah.
instead of having their head buried in a phone.
The feeling of accomplishment of playing an instrument.
Well,
like
not
that,
only
you know?
that, but you get to play with other people, and so
Yeah.
you're in a little group, and you're trying to do your thing, and yeah, I think it's great, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's really great, and I think it's really awesome. So anyway, now you know all about this guy here. Did you bring any sticks?
I brought some sticks.
Tell me what sticks that you use before we venture off into
Right.
the.
So I typically like Pro Mark. I
Okay.
play 7A, 7AN for
Okay.
the most part.
Cool.
I don't mind some cheap sticks too.
Sure,
because I
sure.
break them quite a bit.
Yeah, right,
so.
okay.
But when I'm playing a show, 7A Pro Mark.
absolutely. Okay. Well, he's gonna let us hear him play, and let's just check it out. All right.